And then the champ is here. That's the only thing that's going on.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood Matt Connolly here with the double biceps. It is the contract legal requirement. Just ticking the boxes, making sure the lawyers are happy. Definitely not something that I made up to show off my biceps of 22 years in the gym. Definitely not anything like that whatsoever. I went to Derrimut Gym. They had their 3rd birthday celebrations down at Derrimut Noarlunga. And they asked me to come along and do a bit of an arm wrestling demonstration, which I've done for the last couple of birthdays I've had there as well. This one went very well. It was surprising. And you know that arm wrestling is growing as a sport based off of my experience there last night. Now, I've done a lot of these demonstrations before, and usually I sort of get booked for maybe 4 hours. They say, yeah, come in for 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever. And after, an hour and a bit, I've sort of maybe I'll pack this up and head off, because in the first little bit you might get a few people, and then it's very, very sporadic. And after the people have been there that are training, they've had a go, and that's kind of that's all that's got to come up and actually have a go at the arm wrestling. But last night, 4 hours non-stop, I had people lined up and like groups of guys just waiting to get on the table and have a go, which is incredible. And a lot of them knew about the arm wrestlers of the world, and we had great conversations about some of the elite guys that are based in North America and Europe, and us Australian guys. A lot of people talking about the AWE event, which is coming up on July the 2nd, which is very exciting. You can get your pay-per-view at Ryan Blue Bowen's YouTube channel. But my arms are absolutely wrecked. Even doing the double bicep, that's really hurting my forearm. I had training the night before, which was 3 hours, and then a 4-hour non-stop session, and I was in a lot of pain, to be honest. And yes, right at the end of the night, my arm wouldn't stop cramping. So big session for me, had a lot of fun. Have a look at the video and you will see there's a lot of instruction as we're going through this, and sort of explaining to people how to do the techniques correctly. And then, obviously I'm letting everybody win, so that they can walk away feeling good, like they had a good time, and then learned some skills. They weren't just coming up and just getting destroyed. So they wouldn't have learned anything, I wouldn't have learned anything. But this way they walk away with a smile on their face, and that's what I wanted. And the guy that you see on screen at the moment, he's actually come up every single time I've done a demo in any of the Derrimut gyms. This guy is always there, very, very keen. He's a strong young man, and he was giving it everything he had. He came up and I said, "You've been here every single time." And he said, "Yes." And he said, "I just want to win. Please show me how to win." And I was like, "That's fine, mate. Here's some tips." And yes, fantastic to meet all these people and go through technique and the strength difference between when they first walk up. Usually people, have the idea of pure side pressure, which is obviously your kitchen table at home arm wrestling style. And I was explaining to everyone how to use back pressure, how to cup your wrist, as you can see here with this young man. First thing I'm getting people to do is to cup their wrist, although he is going sideways. I'm trying to direct him to start going backwards with back pressure. We had lots of fantastic young guys coming up and giving arm wrestling a go for the first time. These gym demonstrations are a lot of fun because you've got people that are into resistance training and into getting strong, and this is an opportunity for them to find a sport where you get to apply that strength. And one of the fun things about it is that you can be incredibly strong in traditional gym lifts, your bicep curls, your bench press, all that style of movement. But then when you get on the arm wrestling table, even though you're very strong, you just cannot apply that strength. And simply by preventing somebody from being able to flex their wrist, or by using your body weight against their hand, you are able to prevent them from being able to move in a way that they can pull your hand in the direction they want it to go. So right here, I always let people have a go with their own technique to start with, because I just want to see what they're doing. When they step up to the table for the first time, I say, "Have you ever done this before?" And if they say yes, it's like, "Okay, great, we'll see what you're doing." If they say no, I say, "Okay, no worries, well, you do your thing." I say, "I won't pin you, I just want to see what you're doing, and then we'll go from there. And always put just enough resistance so that they don't actually get a pin, but they don't get injured either. And we have one of the Derrimut staff members here. He had a quick go. He wanted to do left arm, and this is a great little viral moment here where I count down the 3, 2, 1, and there it is. He was a good sport about it. Yes, so always fun to do these types of things because people have not really seen arm wrestling before, and they might feel like, hey, I'm strong, I can get in here and I should be able to beat this guy. And obviously they understand very quickly that even though they're giving it 100% of their effort, they just cannot find a way through. And then I explain the techniques and the difference, as I said, between when they first walk up and a few minutes later, just by getting them to apply back pressure and cupping their wrist and moving in the right directions, it's incredible. And I always say to people, you would destroy yourself from 5 minutes ago. And it was great. We had some girls coming up and giving things a go. And the technique I always sort of employ when I do a demonstration is a top roll. I always sort of show the top roll first. Because it covers all the fundamentals of arm wrestling. You know, the pulling back with back pressure, the cupping of the wrist, and pronating, and putting pressure into somebody else's weakest point, which is the fingers, and then if it depends on how keen they are. Sometimes I'll spend more time with somebody if they're really showing that they're interested in learning, and I'll sort of explain the hook techniques and then the press as well. Although the press I generally steer a little bit clear of because it does carry that danger element with it that if somebody is doing it incorrectly, the likelihood of an injury is higher with that technique than the others. So I'm trying to explain to this guy here to keep your shoulder close to your hand because as soon as you extend your arm, your power is gone. And we had this guy here was actually very adept. He picked up the technique very quickly. He could be a potential very good arm wrestler. He started to, he was doing a bit of side pressure, but he ended up getting the technique right in the end. And we've got one of the Derrimut staff members, Mark, here. He was very keen. He jumped on about 10 times to try to beat me here. He was determined that he was going to win. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the technique. He does have a lot of strength and a lot of dedication, but yes, you can see I'm just holding his wrist flat so that he can't actually get through my hand. But there you go, he's very keen, determined. Look at the determined look on his face there. The Egyptian god, we were calling him, the Pharaoh, and he doesn't want to give me that fist bump. Strong wrist on a lot of these guys, and that's one of those things that you find doing these demonstrations in gyms. A lot of these guys, because they're used to resistance training, with weights, traditional barbells and dumbbells and machinery, they're very strong in their wrist. It's just being able to apply it in the right sort of movement. And this guy was really getting into it here. As you see, his body is moving every which way, but the hand stays in the same spot. You got to win the hand first. And by this point, I was pretty wrecked. I think I had maybe 100 people in a row at this point. I found out later that this gentleman does some judo as well, so his grip was very strong, and I'd sort of put myself in a bad position here off the get-go, and I just couldn't recover it. But well done to him. There you go. I'll give him a pat on the back. Good stuff. First pin of the night. This gentleman here was incredibly strong. I don't know if he was a builder or something, but his wrist was like iron, and I had to work with everything I had to be able to stop him from getting into the positions. He's giving it everything, and I had to give it everything as well, just to sort of demonstrate that what I was actually explaining does work. I literally, after I had a go with this guy, I had to go into the bathroom for 10 minutes because my arm was throbbing in pain. And yes, managed to put some ice gel on there you can see the strain I'm doing there. That's how hard I'm working. This guy's never arm wrestled before either, so he has a bright future if he ever wanted to get into the sport. But I was in a lot of pain after that. But overall, great experience. Thank you again.